everyone. Is this thing on? Okay, yes. I'm not a betting woman, but if I were, I might say that after that talk, I would know what you're going to be texting and WhatsApping to your friend groups later tonight. For the next panel, I am very excited to introduce what might feel like an unlikely pairing, but it is not. Mastercard's Chief Administrative Officer, Tim Murphy, and His Eminence, Cardinal Peter Kodwo Appiah Turkson. Please give them a round welcome of applause.
Well, you got it. Kodwo is Monday.
Thank you.
Eminence? Okay. Well, good morning and good afternoon, everyone. It is such a privilege, Your Eminence, to have you at the Inclusive Growth Summit today. I want to start with a proposition that I think you'll agree with, which is that there is enormous common ground between the development work of so many great people and institutions in this room and the work of the church on social justice, on poverty alleviation, and I hope we can explore that today. You have been on the forefront of those issues as a leader of the Roman Catholic Church. You are the Chancellor of the Pontifical Academy of Social Sciences, among other things.
I've been leader of aspects of the academy.
Aspects of.
The real boss is
Yes, I have a real boss too,
yeah.
Right? Who's actually not in the, well, it's Shamina Singh, she's in the room. You were integral to the launch of the Council for Inclusive Capitalism at the Vatican in 2020. You oversaw the publication of Mensurum Bonum, Good Measure, which is about faith-based measures for Catholic investors. And you're now working on an extraordinary effort that we're going to talk about today called ECHO. It's the Earth, Our Common Home Fund, which is calling you now. Which is all about working at the opportunity between impact investing and the church's assets in Africa and around the world. And if you think about the persistence of religious institutions lasting across governments, and how can we tap into those to drive inclusive growth, this is very exciting. So can you talk a little, so you're at the intersection between faith and development, and maybe I'll just start by asking you to talk about that. What is the role of faith in this work? And how is it tied to the rich tradition in Catholicism around social justice?
Okay. So thanks, Mastercard, for having me. Basically, by way of response to the premise, okay, the partnership on what brings us all together. What really brings us all together is the fact that our common humanity. Basically and essentially, we are human beings. And the subject of development and growth is a human person. That's also the subject of religion. So whatever our initiatives are, and however we proceed, or whatever method we create, it's all to serve the well-being of the human person. That's at the center. And that well-being of the human person, they need to promote it, directs everything that we do. Mm-hmm. So in that regard, talking about the role of faith, the role of faith then works in two ways. The members of those who adhere and profess that faith sometimes can then be led by the propositions of that faith to pursue certain action in a particular way. Secondly, the same faith can also inspire them to share whatever virtues, whatever positive things they have in their faith with others who are not members of the faith. That can bring us all together in collaboration. And we believe a lot that faith really, from the different groups, has a lot to come because at the center of it is still basically the same thing about a human person. Mm-hmm. Muslims, Catholics, Christians, and whatever, it's the same. And that, in that sense, our initiative basically goes back. You asked how did all of this begin? In 1969, the first time a pope visited Africa was in Uganda. Then speaking to the parliament and the diplomats in Uganda, he said, the church has a concern, which is not really its concern. It's a concern of the people. And it is a question of development. Mm. Okay, so development is actually development of the people. It's not the development of the church. But the church has made this its primary concern and primary objective, to promote the development, which in economic terms become growth of all people. And in such a way that this is inclusive, doesn't leave anybody outside. This was in '69. So when lately with the publication of the SDGs, Ban Ki-moon came out and said the SDGs is the Human Development Program that leaves nobody behind, we just thought we're speaking the same language. You know? So that's how it goes.
Terrific. So again, just to anchor on the great common challenges and the common opportunity before us. Second question, Eminence, is really around not so much faith, but the role of individual and society as it relates to investment. The church has a lot to say about the role of individuals and societies and the claims and obligations they owe on each other. How can you just comment on those issues as they relate to the development agenda that the church talks about?
You know, in places in Africa, a lot of people believe that the church is rich and has access to, you know, interminable source of income and all of that. But the reality is that, you know, you take a life of any simple bishop in Africa, you get made a bishop, you're thrown in a place to work. A mission is entrusted to you, but the financing of the mission is not entrusted to you. And everybody knows that when you have a mission, then you need finance. You need to consider how you finance that mission. This is an experience that I made in 1993 when I was made a bishop in Ghana. I had a huge diocese to take care of. We had 5 hospitals. We have 40% basic education institutions. We have all of these. But we needed to finance and make them grow. You have a mission, you don't have the finances. So that's what started my own particular, if you want, journey in this regard. So I finally, I was stumbling on a lot of things. I came across social impact investment. And the possibility of meeting guys who put venture capital and philanthropy together, and found that that was probably a better way to go. Instead of meeting your brother bishop in the US or Britain, whatever, who invites you into his parish, you speak and then a collection is taken and then given to you. Sometimes just $10,000, sometimes $15,000. You can't do much with that. So I said, let's change the paradigm. Okay, and instead of just depending on grants and donations to run this mission, let's discover a better business option. And that better business option for me was a discovery of social impact investment, which has a lot of challenges. I mean, when you have a grant and a donation, you just use it, and sometimes you just write a letter to thank the donor. But you don't have to keep the books. You don't have to have the thing about transparency and all of that is not. So that's a challenge. That becomes a resistance when you talk to bishops about changing the paradigm. But that's what we're doing now. We're telling bishops that to carry on your big mission, you need sizable source of income. So let's discover this new paradigm, social impact investment, and try to encourage those who are ready to give you money for whatever. The fact that they cannot raise any huge interest, because the interest is promoting the well-being of humanity. If somebody helps to put up a hospital, of course you pay by the capital. But the interest is, look, how many people we've been able to help? How many people we've been able to serve, provide access to healthcare and all of that. And that is the impact that we think that as a church, we have a lot of it. And it will be so very easy to refer to. And we use that. You use that in our bargain for social impact investment. So that's the campaign that we have run in Africa now.
And this is the Echo Fund.
That's the Echo Fund, right.
So you sound, Eminence, not just like a bishop. You make a bishop sound like an innovative CEO or an economist, as well as a faith leader. But that's what's required for impact. Can you say a little bit more about Echo Fund and the work across Africa today? And eventually it'll be global, yes?
Yeah. So that's what it. Everybody knows the role of church. It's not even only in Africa, in Latin America, wherever you go. We're very much in the forefront of providing help and whatever. In some places, in fact, I've heard communities which have said that for us, our government is the church. Okay, because it's a church that provides all the basic needs that they have and whatever. So we're at a certain point, we thought, without creating a tension or division between us and government and all of that, we consider that we work together. Even now, we do work to provide services, and the government recognizes that. For example, in Ghana, where I'm from, the government recognizes by, saying that you take care and manage the hospitals. We support you by taking up the salary of the doctors. That's, participate collaboration, that kind of thing we work with. So we think that the government does that, but the government has a small challenge. It's the challenge of permanence. Every government in a democratic system comes for 4 years. Then there will be elections and whatever. And if you don't have a decent national vision that maintains a golden thread through the change of government, then you have somebody begins something great. When it's out of office, it drops. Another one comes, starts something, and drops. So in that sense, the church probably becomes the only stable element in society that can maintain continuity in this regard. Yeah. And that's what we wanted to exploit, make use of. And so that's the thing about the church, the Echo Fund. The Echo Fund, therefore, is built on the fact that all the bishops in Africa, to start with, come together and create a body, which is called SECAM. Symposium of Episcopal Conferences of Africa and Madagascar. Since this group already exists and the bishops already have reason to come together, we say, why don't we then also bestow on this body some development organ, some agency, development agency, so that they don't come together only to discuss faith and whatever, but also able to take up something in the area of development. And since they're already united and come together, it will be like partnership that cuts across all the continent.
Interesting.
So we thought, and that, so doing that and counting on the stability of the church and all of that, which, however, in doing this, doesn't become, everybody who's living in Africa or whatever knows this. If you go to any hospital, they don't ask you what faith you belong to. If you go to any school, they ask you what is. So we don't seek to also, proselytize.
Yes.
People from other faith with these facilities.
Yes.
Objectives is very simple: to promote the well-being of the human person, which in these terms and in this conference is referred to as growth.
Yep.
Okay, we talk about it, and it's to make this inclusive and integral to all.
Terrific. Let me ask you a final question as we're sort of getting close to end of time. You've talked about some of it, but thinking about Echo Fund or SECAM as institutions that can drive inclusive development across Africa, that's an important point. But more broadly, I've wanted to ask you this question for some time. I have an observation that there are amazing people around the world today who are doing work in human development and inclusive growth, standing alongside of faith-based institutions like the Roman Catholic Church, but so many others, that are doing the same work in really hard places, and the two aren't talking to each other. And isn't that leaving big opportunities on the table for collaboration to drive impact? Can you talk about that, and what else can people in this room do or think about in order to create better collaboration between secular and faith-based institutions?
See, I think it's partnership. And as the SDGs, I think the 17th SDG, right? Partnerships, sustainability, and all of that. So it's to promote that. And for us, as I mentioned, wherever we've tried to do anything, at least in the case of the Catholic Church, it's not to be exclusive. We've been trying to seek partnership with government. Unless the government, for whatever reason, says we can work on this with you. Or unless the government's policy is such that, from the point of view of faith, we take objection to certain articles and certain points. Otherwise, we work really with governments and other groups in society who do stuff like that. Again, unless their own procedures and methods and statutes make certain collaborative efforts impossible. So at the end of the day, it's basically one thing which should promote partnership, collaboration, and all. If we are all working for the promotion of the human person, and working together would mean then let's come together to pursue the common good. It's not the public good, the common good, the well-being of all together. We do this by in solidarity. That's when we bring our efforts together to pursue this common good. When in the case of solidarity, participation, bringing stuff together, we realize that there are elements in society who are less endowed to be able to contribute, then another principle from the point of view of the church comes in. That's a subsidiarity. Render people capable of contributing to this common good. Okay, normally when there's anything in common to pursue, we go on our native capacities and capabilities. But there are some who need to be enabled to contribute and to participate in this common project. And that for us is a principle we call subsidiarity. Grant subsidium, grant help to everybody to do this. And that incidentally also for us is the affirmation of the dignity of every person. When you enable people to be able to contribute to something that affirms their own dignity, there's no better way of giving, of doing that for them. So it's not doing something for people, it's enabling people to be able to pursue and do what they are capable or should be capable of doing. And that is sometimes the thing we share with other stakeholders and others who are involved in this area.
Beautifully said, sir. So service is for and with, and the core dignity of the human is something we're all focused on, and that's just, Eminence, your presence here today, I'm so grateful. I could ask so many more questions of you, but we're out of time. The fact that you're here with us today is a reminder of the importance of collaboration, not just among individual communities, but across faith communities as well. And thank you for your leadership in being here.
We thank you
Thank you, Eminence.
for Mastercard for everything you're doing.
Thank you, sir. Thank
Thanks.
you.
Prayerfully, God
Be well.
bless.
Thank you.
Thank you.